I still remember how quiet her living room felt that night. Too quiet, like the kind of silence that waits for someone to break it. Maybe that's why the first thing I noticed wasn't her voice or her smile, but the soft thud of the door closing behind us, shutting out the world and leaving just the two of us standing there, pretending neither of us was nervous. She stood by the lamp, its warm light catching the faint silver strands in her hair. Most people would miss them. I didn't. I noticed everything about her. The way she held the sleeve of her sweater between two fingers, as if she wasn't sure what to do with her hands. The way she exhaled through her nose before speaking, like she was practicing the line first. "You don't have to stay," she said. But her eyes said something else entirely. I swallowed before answering, but even that felt too loud in the stillness between us. "I know," I said. "I'm not staying because I have to." Her gaze flicked to me, quick, almost startled, then settled on the floor. She pressed her lips together, a small movement, but it tugged at something in my chest. She always carried herself with this effortless grace. Yet tonight, there was a softness underneath it, something unguarded. The rain outside tapped against the windows, steady and slow. She walked past me toward the couch, and I swear she moved the air itself. Something warm trailed behind her, vanilla, maybe, or whatever lotion she used. I caught just a hint of it as she brushed by, her arm grazing mine. A tiny touch, barely anything, but I felt it everywhere. "You can sit," she murmured, not looking directly at me. I sat, but she didn't. Not right away. She stood there, hand on the back of the couch, fingers tapping once, twice. Like she wanted to say something, but didn't trust her voice yet. I watched her profile in the soft light, the gentle line of her jaw, the downward tilt of her lashes. "You're quiet tonight," she finally said, easing down beside me. Not close enough to touch, but close enough that if either of us leaned even a little, our knees would meet. "You're the one who's quiet," I said. Her breath hitched barely, but I caught it. She pulled one leg up onto the couch, adjusting the hem of her sweater, and when her fingers brushed her collarbone, I looked away too fast. She noticed. Of course she did. "You don't have to be nervous around me," she said softly. "I'm not," I murmured. But the pause that followed gave me away. She smiled the kind of smile that isn't meant to be seen, small, private, almost wondering. Then she shifted closer, just an inch, but enough that the cushion dipped and the warmth of her body moved nearer. She didn't touch me. She didn't need to. The space between us felt thinner than breath. "Do you want something to drink?" she asked, but her voice didn't match the question. "No," I said. "I'm good." She nodded, though she kept her eyes on me a heartbeat too long. A quiet moment stretched out. Her fingers curled against her knee. Mine tightened around the fabric of my jeans. Something hovered there, unspoken and fragile and dangerously close to being real. Then, a sharp knock hit the front door. She froze. I looked at her. Her eyes flicked toward the hallway, then back to me, wide and uncertain, as if whatever was about to happen wasn't part of her plan. But the way she reached out, just barely, fingertips grazing my wrist before she pulled back, told me she didn't want to go anywhere. "Not now. Not yet." The knock came again, sharper this time. She stood up too quickly, smoothing her sweater like she needed something to do with her hands. I stayed seated, listening to her footsteps move down the hallway. For a moment, I thought she might tell whoever was to go away. She didn't. A muffled voice, male, older, asked something I couldn't quite hear. Her answer was quiet, polite, too practiced. The door shut faster than seemed natural, and the lock clicked with a sound that felt heavier than it should have been. When she came back, she avoided my eyes. "Sorry," she said. "My neighbor. He always picks the worst times." I didn't ask what he wanted. She didn't offer, either. She perched on the arm of the couch instead of sitting beside me again, like the interruption had rearranged the distance between us. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, fingers trembling for half a second, the tiniest slip in her careful composure. "You okay?" I asked. Her laugh was small and tight. "Yeah, I wasn't expecting company tonight." "Me or him?" Her eyes flicked up, sharp, quick, before she looked away again. "You." She said it so quietly I wasn't sure I'd heard it right. I stood, more to steady myself than anything, and walked toward her. She didn't move away. She didn't move at all. Just watched my hands, my shoulders, like she was trying to memorize something before she lost it. "You want me to go?" I asked. Her lips parted, but no words came out immediately. Her breath fluttered, barely brushing my chest as I stood in front of her. She wasn't touching me, but she might as well have been. Her nearness landed like a warm hand at the back of my neck. "No," she said finally. "I just don't want you to think She stopped, shaking her head. "It's complicated. Because of me?" Her smile was sad around the edges. "Because of everything. You're young. People see things. They assume." She exhaled slowly. "And I've already lived through enough assumptions." I wanted to tell her I didn't care, that the age difference didn't scare me. But the words got stuck somewhere between my chest and my throat. Her voice softened. "You remind me of someone I used to be close to. Not in a bad way. Just it's strange. I haven't felt this kind of ease in a long time." I blinked. "Ease?" She nodded, hesitating. "My last relationship ended badly. I stopped letting people get close after that. It was easier not to feel anything than to have it fall apart again." She said it like she regretted saying it. Without thinking, I reached out, slow, giving her time to pull back. She didn't. My hand settled on her shoulder, light at first, then steady. Heat rose under my palm, warm enough to make me forget to breathe. Her eyes lifted to mine, direct, unshielded. "You shouldn't look at me like that," she whispered. "How am I looking at you?" She swallowed, her throat tightening. "Like you seem more than you should." I didn't answer. Couldn't. Instead, my thumb grazed her collarbone. Barely a touch, almost accidental. But she inhaled sharply, the kind of breath people take when something hits deeper than they meant to let it. She didn't move away. Not this time. And for a long, quiet moment, the space between us felt like it was choosing a side. The room felt smaller after that touch, like the walls leaned in a little listening. She didn't move, and I didn't drop my hand, though both of us pretended to forget it was there. Her breathing steadied, but every inhale brushed my wrist, warm and uneven. Then her phone buzzed. She flinched just enough for my hand to slip from her shoulder. The screen lit up beside her, bright in the dim room. A name flashed across it. She grabbed the phone too quickly, turning it face down on the couch. "Sorry," she said, voice tight. "It's nothing." But people don't hide nothing. People hide history. Before I could say anything, a soft knock came from the window, a quick tap, like someone passing by had brushed it. She stiffened again, eyes darting toward the curtains. "Probably just the tree," she whispered, though she didn't sound convinced. Her hands were clasped now, fingers twisting together like she was bracing for something. I took half a step toward her, and she looked up, fast, like she hadn't expected me to close the distance again. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah, just a lot tonight." She exhaled. "I didn't plan on this. On me being here," I offered. "No," her voice softened. "On wanting you here." She didn't realize how close she'd moved until our knees brushed. Her breath caught, and instead of shifting away, she leaned in, instinct not intention. Her sweater brushed my forearm, soft and warm. My hand hovered near her waist, not touching, but close enough that the heat between us felt like a pull. "You shouldn't," she murmured. "Shouldn't what?" She didn't answer. A second buzz from her phone cut through the moment. Louder this time, like the world reminding her of boundaries she kept trying to forget. She pressed her lips together, eyes flicking to the device, then to me. Regret flickered across her face before she could hide it. "You can get that," I said quietly. "I don't want to." She swallowed. "But I should." She didn't move to pick it up. Instead, her hand fell onto the couch cushion, inches from mine. Her fingers trembled once before going still, like she wasn't sure whether she'd reached out by accident or on purpose. I let my hand drift closer, slow, careful, until the backs of our fingers touched. The contact was feather-light, but it sent a rush of heat up my arm like she'd traced a line there. Her eyes widened. "Don't," she whispered, though she didn't pull away. "Don't what?" My voice felt lower, rougher. She shook her head. "Don't make this harder." The space between us tightened, shrinking without either of us moving. Her knee brushed mine again, lingering this time. Her breath skimmed my cheek, close enough that if either of us turned even slightly, a key rattled in the lock. She jerked back like she'd been burned, hand flying to her chest. Her eyes went wide. Fear, panic, something unguarded. But the door didn't open. The lock just clicked once, then silence. She released a shaky breath, leaning forward, elbows on her knees. I moved beside her, close but not touching this time. "It's just the old latch," she whispered. "It sticks." But her hand were trembling again, barely, but I saw it. Without thinking, I covered her hand with mine. She looked at our joined hands, then at me, something raw flickering in her eyes. "We keep stopping," I said. She nodded once. "And we keep ending up right back here." Neither of us pulled away. If anything, we leaned closer. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Our hands stayed together on the couch. Her fingers curled lightly against mine like she wasn't conscious of the contact, or maybe she was, and she didn't want to break it. She stared at our joined hands, as if they were evidence of something she'd been trying not to admit. "I shouldn't be doing this," she whispered. "Then tell me to leave." Her eyes flicked up, sharp, pained, searching. "You know I can't." I shifted closer. Not enough to touch her fully, but enough that the heat of her arm pressed faintly into mine. She inhaled at the contact, a small, unsteady sound slipping out before she could catch it. "Then what are we doing?" I asked. She shook her head, but it wasn't no. It was the kind of shake someone makes when they're fighting themselves. "You're too young, and I'm not ready to want someone again." Her throat tightened around the words. I told myself I wouldn't. What if it's too late? The question landed between us like a dropped glass, soft at first, then loud once it hit. She closed her eyes. "Don't say things like that." "Why?" "Because I'll believe you." Her voice cracked on the last word. Barely noticeable, but enough to make my chest tighten. A storm of emotions shifted behind her eyes. Loneliness, caution, something deeper she kept trying to swallow. I watched her wrestle with it, watched her lose. "You keep looking at me like I matter," she said. "You do." Her breath hitched again, deeper this time. Something inside her snapped thin, not in anger, but in surrender. She let her forehead brush my shoulder, her fingers curling into my shirt for balance, or maybe to ground herself. I didn't move at first. I just listened to her breathing, felt the slight tremble in her hand, the careful way she leaned against me, as if she wasn't sure she deserved to. My hand rose slowly, brushing her hair back from her face. Her breath stalled when my knuckles grazed her temple, and she leaned into the touch without meaning to. A soft gasp slipped out, quiet, almost fragile. "You're shaking," I murmured. "I shouldn't want this." "But you do." Her hand tightened around my shirt. She lifted her head, and suddenly our faces were inches apart, close enough that I could see the small fleck of gold in her left iris, the way her pupils widened even though the room hadn't changed. A single tear clung to her lashes, not falling, just suspended there, catching the lamplight. "I don't know how to do this again," she whispered. "Then we figure out together." She sucked in a breath, sharp, quick, and her gaze dropped to my mouth before she caught herself. She tried to look away, but couldn't. The air between us grew thick, heavy, full of the pull neither of us were resisting anymore. Her hand rose, hesitant, landing against my jaw with the lightest touch. My breath left me in one uneven exhale. Her thumb brushed my skin, slow, trembling, deliberate. She leaned forward. I did too. Our noses nearly touched. Her lips parted. Her breath warmed mine. She whispered, "Tell me you want this." I opened my mouth to answer, and someone knocked hard on the door. She jerked back, eyes wide, breath torn from her chest. The knock came again, louder. She stared at the door, then at me, caught between fear and something dangerously close to giving in. The knocking didn't stop. 3 sharp hits, then silence. Then another knock, lighter, but pointed like whoever stood outside already knew too much. She pressed a hand to her mouth, steadying her breath. I watched the rise and fall of her chest, the smallest tremor in her fingers. Her eyes shifted to me, wide and unsure, like she was waiting for the world to decide something for her. "I need to see who it is," she whispered. But she didn't move. Not until the knocking came again, this time followed by a muffled voice calling her name. She froze. I'd never heard that tone from her before. Fear, yes, but something else beneath it. Recognition. She stepped away from me, too fast, shoulder brushing mine. Quick enough to be accidental, close enough to feel intentional. I felt the warmth of her skin through her sweater for a single second. It lingered on me long after she pulled away. When she opened the door, only a crack, a man's voice slipped into the room. I saw your lights. You weren't answering earlier. Are you okay? Her neighbor, the same one from earlier. But this time he sounded worried and suspicious. I'm fine, she said quietly, blocking his line of sight with her body. You sure? I thought I heard. His sentence cut off as he leaned, trying to peek past her. Her shoulder tensed. She pressed herself more firmly into the doorway. It's late. Please. There was a long pause. Is someone there with you? She didn't answer. That hesitation was all he needed. I should come in. No, her voice cracked. Not with fear, but with something sharp and protective. Please go home. The silence on the other side grew heavy. Does this have anything to do with last week? He asked softly. Because if you're still upset, she stiffened so visibly I felt it from across the room. Good night, she said, pushing the door shut before he could finish. The lock clicked, slowly, deliberately. She leaned her forehead against the wood for a moment, breathing like she needed to remember how. I didn't speak. I just watched as she turned around. When her eyes met mine, something broke open between us. Something she'd been holding steady until that door forced it loose. That was the man who... She stopped, swallowing hard. He thinks I owe him something. After what happened, I stepped closer, but slowly, giving her room to step back if she needed it. She didn't. She stayed where she was, breathing unevenly. Did he hurt you? I asked. No, she said, but her voice wavered. Not the way you're thinking. He just misread things. I told him I wasn't interested, but he didn't really hear me. I moved another inch closer. She didn't move. And seeing you here tonight, she whispered, he'll think I lied. Her eyes glistened, not with tears, something sharper. Shame, frustration, fear. She turned away from me, but as she passed, her arm brushed mine. She closed her eyes at the contact, just for a second, like she couldn't help it. I'm tired of explaining myself, she whispered. Tired of pretending I don't want. She cut herself off, biting her lip. Her hand shook again, more openly this time. I reached out, fingertips finding the back of her hand. She stiffened, then relaxed into the touch, her fingers curling around mine with a quiet, desperate honesty. You don't have to pretend with me, I said softly. She raised her head, eyes meeting mine, raw and unguarded. Then stay, she whispered. Not a question, a decision. Our hands tightened. The space between us vanished, inch by slow inch. For a moment, neither of us moved. Her stay hung in the air between us, soft, trembling but certain, like she'd finally said something she'd been swallowing for weeks. I stepped closer, slow enough that she could stop me. She didn't. Her breath brushed my neck, warm and uneven. She looked up at me with this raw, open expression, like she'd dropped every wall at once and didn't know how to gather them again. I shouldn't want this, she whispered, but it sounded more like a memory than a warning. You do, I said. Her lips parted, her chest rising in a shaky inhale. My hand lifted, hesitant, until my fingers brushed her cheek. She flinched at first, not from fear, but from how much she felt it. Then she leaned into my palm with a tiny, helpless sound that tightened something deep in my chest. I don't know how to start again, she murmured. You already did, I said. The moment you opened the door for me. A laugh, a small, broken one, escaped her. She shook her head, eyes shining with something that wasn't quite tears, but carried the same weight. She shifted closer, close enough that our bodies aligned without touching. The heat of her pressed through the last inches between us. Her fingers lifted, brushing my jaw with the back of her knuckles, trembling the entire time. Tell me this isn't a mistake, she said. Tell me I'm not being foolish. I caught her hand, steadying it against my cheek. If this is foolish, then we're in it together. Her breath stuttered. Her forehead rested against mine. Her hand curled around the back of my neck, gentle but desperate. We stood like that, breathing the same thin air, fighting the same gravity pulling us closer. She whispered, "I'm scared of what wanting you means. I'm scared of losing you before anything even starts," I murmured. That hit her harder than I expected. Her eyes closed, her grip tightened on my shirt, and she exhaled like she'd been holding something inside her for years. "Don't say things like that," she whispered. "Why?" "Because I believe you." The same words she'd used earlier. Only this time, they didn't sound like fear. They sounded like surrender. She leaned in, slow, almost painfully slow, until her nose brushed mine. My breath caught. Her hand slid to the side of my face, fingers threading into my hair. Her lips hovered just above mine, warm and close enough to make my heartbeat feel like it was shaking the room. "Last chance," she whispered, her voice barely a breath. "If you want to walk away, do it now." I didn't move. Neither did she. 1 second stretched into 2, then 3. The space between our mouths narrowed until every soft inhale, every tiny shift, sent heat rolling through both of us. "I'm not going anywhere," I said. Her eyes opened, slowly, like she needed to see the truth on my face before letting herself believe it. Then she closed the distance. Not a full kiss. Not yet. Her lips brushed mine, feather-light, almost trembling, just enough to break every rule she'd been clinging to and make every hesitation fall away. She pulled back a breath later, resting her forehead to mine again. "Okay," she whispered, voice shaking but steadier than before. "Okay, then we're really doing this." And for the first time since the night began, the fear in her eyes softened into something clear, something shared. They understood each other now, completely. For a while we just stood there, foreheads touching, breaths mingling, hearts not quite steady. The world outside her door felt distant, muffled, almost unreal. Inside, everything was quiet except for the slow, uneven rhythm of her breathing and the faint hum of the heater kicking on in the corner. She was the first to pull back, but only by an inch. Her fingers slid down from my jaw to my collar, holding there like she wasn't sure how to let go. "I didn't expect any of this," she whispered, her voice rough with exhaustion and something softer. "I didn't expect you." I brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear. My fingers lingered longer than necessary. Hers lifted to steady my wrist when it trembled slightly. "You don't have to apologize for wanting something good," I said. A small, unsteady laugh escaped her. "It hasn't felt safe to want anything for a long time. Maybe that's changing." She looked up then, really looked. The hesitation wasn't gone, but it didn't look like a wall anymore. More like a door halfway open, waiting for someone brave enough to step through. Her hand slid into mine. Not searching, not questioning, just choosing. "Can we just sit?" she asked quietly. "No decisions tonight. No defending anything. Just being here." "Yeah," I said. "Yeah, we can." We moved to the couch together. This time she didn't leave space between us. She sat close enough that our thighs touched, her shoulder brushing mine with every breath. She exhaled slowly, leaning into the contact like it grounded her. I draped an arm along the back of the couch, not touching her at first, giving her room to decide. She shifted closer, letting her head rest lightly against my shoulder. Her hair tickled my jaw, soft and warm. I felt her relax, inch by inch, like she was untying knots she'd been carrying for years. "You know, people are going to talk," she murmured. "Let them," I said. Her fingers tightened around mine. "You might change your mind." "Have I changed anything since I walked through your door tonight?" That earned me another quiet laugh. She tilted her head up, brushing her temple against my jaw. It wasn't a kiss, but it sent heat sliding down my spine all the same. "You make it too easy to believe you," she said. I turned my head slightly, letting my lips graze her hairline. Just a soft touch, nothing more. She drew in a breath, one hand lifting to rest against my chest, right over my heartbeat. "I'm not running anymore," she whispered. "Not from you." "Good," I said softly. "Because I'm staying." Her eyes closed again, and she leaned fully into me this time. No hesitation, no second guessing. Just warm, steady closeness. Her arm slid around my waist. Mine settled around her shoulders. We fit together like we'd done this 100 times instead of once. Minutes passed in comfortable silence. The storm outside softened to a drizzle. Her breathing slowed. My fingertips traced gentle lines along her arm, and she sighed, a soft, content sound that felt like the final piece falling into place. No tensión, no fear, just us, together, exactly where we chose to be. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?